What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some new news for you concerning Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin is in negotiations right now to fight Billy Joe Saunders, which is the WBO middleweight champion of the world. Okay, my thoughts on that. I'm wondering why is the fight in negotiation right now with Billy Joe Saunders? You know what I mean? What does that tell everyone? I mean, what does that just, scream out? Confidence, cockiness, assurance. You know what I mean? I think that's a little premature to be talking about Billy Joe Saunders. Because everyone else is just sitting back. Canelo's sitting back. I mean, he's training for Chavez Jr., but you know how his calculations, he's pretty much got that fight won, because they're going to make Chavez come down and lose too much weight. He's not going to be as strong at 164.5, but that's how they figure it. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case because it hasn't happened yet. Only time will tell. However, in this situation with Golovkin in negotiations, I don't feel that that's really the right thing to do. I think that he should focus on Danny Jacobs, because what could happen to him is the same thing that happened to Felix Trinidad. Felix Trinidad was involved in a Super 6-like middleweight championship, like eliminator, kind of like the Super 6 with Andre Ward and Froch and all those guys were in, Arthur Abraham. But this was back in 2001, where you had William Joppy, Bernard Hopkins, Keith Holmes, and Felix Trinidad. And these guys fought, and whoever won, was the undisputed middleweight champion. And then after, Felix Trinidad was the undefeated guy. He was knocking out everybody. He was beating everybody. He beat De La Hoya to Vargas to Reed, or to Reed to Vargas. To Joppy, and everybody thought that he was just gonna knock out or take out Bernard Hopkins, and that wasn't the case. Bernard Hopkins was the underdog. Bernard Hopkins was the guy that was overlooked. Bernard Hopkins was the bigger of the two, because he was the middleweight champion, at that weight. And Bernard Hopkins used the ring, used his boxing ability, and outboxed Felix Trinidad. And Felix Trinidad could not land that left hook to save his life. He just couldn't do it, and he upset, confused, frustrated Trinidad, despite him doing certain things in that fight, which I wouldn't have approved of, but he did what he needed to do. He used the ring, he outboxed the boxer puncher. That's the thing you need to do to beat Golovkin. And Danny Jacobs has that capability of doing it. He can do that. He just has to be focused. He has to fight a perfect fight. And in what happened with Trinidad and Hopkins, they stopped it in the 12th round. It was a long night for Felix Trinidad, but it could be a long night for Gennady Golovkin. Triple G is, he's a good boxer, though. That's one thing about Triple G. He is a good boxer. I will give him that. But I feel that he needs his 100% focus on this fight. Not Billy Joe fucking Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders had a shit fight last year, or whenever he fought. And it was a terrible performance. And it was one of those situations where you're like, man, you glad you didn't fight no one worth a damn. You know what I mean? Because he would have been gone. That belt would have been stripped from him, and they've been chasing it, running behind it with some other guy. With it. So, but Golovkin, I think that it's a premature decision for him to be calling out or making negotiations with a guy before you've fought another guy. You're counting their eggs before they're hatched. And a lot of people has done that, and they shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have done that. And then for the record, Felix Trinidad was going to fight Roy Jones Jr. That was the guy that he just dreamed about fighting, because Roy was the best and he wanted to fight the best. That's how true champions are. That's why I would always salute Felix Trinidad, But I think, he got off track. He lost his focus, and that could happen to Gennady Golovkin. and Danny Jacobs is training like no tomorrow. He's brought in guys. He's with Virgil Hunter now. He's collaborating with him. He's advising him. You also have Chris Algieri. He's a nutritionist. He's bringing all these guys in, so he knows this is his time to shine. And Bernard Hopkins knew it too. It was his time, and he could not mess this opportunity up, and he didn't. So if you Golovkin fanboys, and I'm talking to the Golovkin guys that can't see Golovkin ever defeated, I'm talking to you guys. Okay, if for a minute you think that Golovkin, if he keeps on thinking about other fighters, this could happen to him just like Trinidad. A lot of people thought, Trinidad can't be beat. Maybe Roy was going to do it. Roy would have definitely did it. Eventually, Roy did do it. It was just much, much later on, 7 years later after that to be exact. But, everyone could not see any kinks in Trinidad's armor, just like they can't see with Golovkin. It's a good similarity. Good comparison, I feel. But I think that Golovkin really, really needs to focus on Danny Jacobs and leave him alone, my opinion. How about talk about negotiations after you get out of this fight with Jacobs? Now, if he goes in there and knocks out Jacobs, hey, you know what I mean? He really that good. And if that does happen, mind you, if Gennady Golovkin goes in there and knocks out Danny Jacobs in 5 rounds, right? I want you guys to listen to me. Canelo will not fight him in September. That's all that would be, because then the concern factor will rise once again. See, if you notice, guys, the negotiations started, supposedly with the 15 million flat rate. I'm going to get on that for just a second, because of the performance that Gennady Golovkin did against Kell Brook. And if everyone thinking like, if Kell Brook can do that, what can Canelo do, right? So now they're like, okay, maybe we can beat Golovkin. But if Golovkin goes in there in this performance and knocks out Danny Jacobs, if that's the scenario, there will be no Golovkin Canelo in September. It won't happen. What'll happen, Canelo will give Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. another rematch. And that'll be his 2 fights. Because Canelo only fights twice a year, bro. He's picked up where Mayweather left off with the 2 fights a year. On Cinco de Mayo in September. That's it. He's going to fight Chavez Jr. twice. Mark my words. If Golovkin goes in there and knocks out Danny Jacobs. But that's my take on it. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. You guys tell me what you think. Please subscribe. Have a blessed day. Peace.